Chick Mom already left a comment. Hello. Trying to get it to come back up. Give me a second. Looks just delicious. Be there in an hour for supper, right? It's very, very good. It's very, very good. We had this recipe last week, and I knew I had to make it for cooking class. So we are making, it's a copycat recipe for Olive Garden's minestrone soup, or minestrone, whatever. So we're going to get started. There'll be a couple people jumping on, I'd imagine. Currently, we have this situation down here. Oh, there she goes. She's gonna stand up. What are you doing, baby? Where you going? Naomi, what are you doing? You walking around. So if there's weird noises, that's what's happening. It's the background. Hmm? I'm making dinner. Let's do what? Not milk time till the end. Okay. All right, you go play. Okay, so you guys might notice something different, and that is I got a new stove. It's a new old stove. Oh no, you scared her. Okay. You wanted to say hello? Is that what this is? Anyway, I had to get a new stove because my old one, two of the burners. William, I'm trying to do a class right now, honey. Okay, go play. I'm not doing pickles right now. Anyway, two of the back burners had burned out, the small burners, and then the front one was starting to act up. And I think we kept the stove, and I think we're going to replace the burners, but for a quick fix, we just went ahead and bought this used one. So anyway, you're going to notice a different stove here. I'm just going to put a couple of tablespoons of lard into my pan, and then I got to chop up an onion here. Where you're going to have to take her. Okay. Because this lard is getting hot. Okay. So, I'm going to have to slide the pan over while we wait for some of these pans here. One second, guys. I'm waiting for the dishwasher to switch to baby care. Just until Nevaeh comes on in. Thank you, Bree. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and chop up a whole onion. That is our first ingredient. This is an Azure Standard size onion. So you're going to want 2 to 3 cups of onion. I'm just going to leave that pan over there to kind of cool off to give me a little bit of a head start on the onion. This is a really, really good meal. It is a meatless meal. If that bothers you, you can add meat to this first step, which is like a saute. When I made it before, I used like some ground pork, only like 1 pound. And it was enough to say, hey, there's meat in here, but not, hey, there's meat in here. You know what I mean? So I would do 1 pound of ground something in there. But we also found that this meal is super, super filling. And we're going to be using other things like homemade broth that have good nutrients in them. So we're just going to make it with no meat tonight and see what my family thinks. We have a freezer full of meat, but the original recipe is this way. So we're going to give this a try. Okay. This stove has a convection oven, which I have never used before. So anyway, I used it to make some caramel popcorn because it has like a fan in the back. That's what makes it a convection. Anyway, it works pretty darn slick. All right, so onions in, and we're just going to go ahead and chop up some garlic too, okay? So when it comes to garlic cloves, we need 3 large cloves of garlic. See if I can get this apart. This is a bulb, a garlic bulb there. And then inside that are your cloves. So there's 2 cloves there, and we'll see whether there's another easy one to break off here. 3 garlic cloves, and I'm just going to chop off this little hard part. you need to resist the urge to buy the already minced stuff from the store, and that's because it's soaking in preservatives. So this is not that hard to do, and it's healthier for you and it's cheaper, so why not do it? All right, I'm just gonna dice the 3 garlic cloves up. Okay, sorry for the dogs barking, if you guys can hear them out there. Those are the farm dogs, and it's chore time, so everybody's excited because it's time to be fed. So there's a continual bark happening outside. There's also coyotes that have been coming a little too close to the farm, so the dogs have been barking as the sun goes down to try and keep them away, which is really, really nice. So that's what that is. So I got this pan back here over medium heat with those onion and the garlic on there. So 1 whole onion, 3 garlic cloves that have been minced to your size of liking. And we're going to head on to the next thing. So I made some chicken broth today. If you don't know how to do this, or if you're not doing this for your family, you really should be. When I was buying chickens earlier this spring, what I realized was a whole chicken is the same price per pound on the meat as buying boneless, skinless chicken breasts, but that's not taking into account of putting that whole chicken in like a crock pot or a roaster, submerging it in filtered water, and then turning it into broth. And so once you do that, then it's definitely way cheaper to buy a whole chicken. And so that's how I get all of my broth here. I also can it. There's a video up here on how I used to can it in a pressure canner. I've since switched away from that. And instead I do water bath canning of broth. But you can this to make it shelf stable. You can freeze it. That's great too. If you don't know how to make your own broth, it's super, super easy. And I have a video up on the channel on how to make this. So just keep on scrolling. It's down towards the bottom, but there is a video up. But it will save your family a lot of money on groceries. I know broth seems cheap, but like I said, it's pretty much free when you get a whole chicken. Okay, so the next thing we're going to dice up are these carrots. I've already started a little bit here, but we're going to get some more diced on up. We need close to 2 cups of carrots. I probably have too many here, but that's okay. My kids won't revolt if there's too many carrots. There's not enough carrots. That's when they start revolting. So we're just going to be sauteing the onions and the garlic in the background there into the pan. I'm just going to dice these up really, really quickly. I'm in the market for another chopper because my other one finally broke after 2 years. So I've been shopping for that. And I also found wood lazy spoons. Many of you guys have asked about this because it just hangs on your pot like this, which is super awesome. They make this in a ladle as well, okay? But these are made out of silicone, and silicone isn't the best thing to be cooking with. It's better than plastic, but it has its own disadvantages. So they do make these in wood. If you get online and just type in wood lazy spoon, the actual original inventor of the lazy spoon makes these and sells them on his own website. So check that out. I think I'm going to add it to my Christmas list. I think the ladle is like 50 bucks, which sounds pretty steep to me, but I don't know. I haven't really bought wood spoons in a long time for my kitchen. So maybe that's the going rate. I'm not sure. But it's a lazy spoon and it's wooden, so I think that the one that I'm using today, the little stir spoon, I think it was only $30, I think, for that little design there. Okay, this is almost 2 cups. We'll finish chopping here. Whoops. I'm just going to add all of them. It might end up being more like 2.5 cups of carrots. That's all right. Anyway, so I found that this week. Let's see, what else was I going to talk about today? I know what else it was. So I am planning on doing another live for Thanksgiving. Every year I do a live and I show you guys me making and baking all of the great things for Thanksgiving. I don't know if I'm going to show you everything that we're going to make. We're having family down and then my family, and it's going to be quite a big Thanksgiving. So I don't know how many of you guys would like stick around for like a 7-hour special. And I don't really know that I want to do a 7-hour special. It would be actually real entertaining with all the children and everything. So like last year, I think we had a pie extravaganza. So if you guys have a preference on what you'd like to see me make, like whether it's the turkey or it's sides or pies or desserts, let me know down below in the comments, and I'll totally take that into consideration as far as what we end up showing live on how to make. A lot of the recipes from this year are in my cookbook already, but it's always fun to watch somebody make it. And so anyway, if you guys are interested in that and you have a preference on what you'd like to see us make, let me know down below. Okay, so these onions are almost done. Another ingredient for tonight's soup is fire roasted tomatoes. So these are home fire roasted tomatoes. And I added some seasonings to this that are more like Italian minded because I knew the soup was coming up this winter. That's one really, really great thing about meal planning is that, oh, hey, Sharon. Hey, Nikki. So anyway, one really good thing about meal planning is if you can just pick out a few soups that you know that you're going to make this winter, and it's, let's say, the middle of summer, and you're putting up your food, you can say, you know what? In this winter at some point in time, I'm going to make this soup that's going to need fire roasted tomatoes with Italian seasoning. And ta-da, here it is. If you can't find fire roasted tomatoes, a 28 ounce jar inside the store with the seasoning, don't worry, we're just going to add more Italian seasoning here in a few minutes. But I just wanted to point out that this is the homemade version of the fire roasted tomatoes, which essentially is taking tomatoes and putting them underneath a broiler inside your oven and like blackening them and then canning them. It's super fun. I've never actually done it over a fire before. Okay, so the next ingredient is 2 cups of celery. So I bought, oh, hang on, Nikki said, is that knife you're using easier to chop than a regular knife? I am a weakling, so I struggle with chopping. So everyone loves this knife. I'm gonna have to check if they still make this one. This is a very, very old Pampered Chef, okay? I'm sorry, not Pampered Chef. Very, very old Miracle Blade knife is what it is. And so I don't know if they make this design anymore, but I love this little black knob because instead of like having to use your wrist, you're up here and it's almost like you're pushing down. So like kind of supports your wrist in a way. And I can chop much more accurately without slicing my fingers off by hanging onto this black thing. So I will look into it. I'm going to see if they still make them, and I'll let you guys know next week. But this is a 20-year-old set of Miracle Blade knives that have never been sharpened. Love it. Okay, so celery. We're back to celery. So I'm actually buying a whole case of celery from Azure Standard. That's going to be this next haul coming up in a week or so. But this was the celery from last month. And so I just dice it up and freeze it so it's ready to go. We're going to go ahead and add 2 cups. I'm just going to estimate here. That was eventful, wasn't it? All right, 2 cups of water. That was getting hot sitting there waiting for me. All right, we're gonna go ahead and add all of our carrots, which is 2 cups, but mine looks more like 2.5. Okay. So this one was called the Rock and Chop. This exact knife was called Rock and Chop. Used to have like a little sticker right here, I don't know, 10 years ago, and then that fell off. I love that one. Love all of their steak knives. Their steak knives also never been sharpened. Super sharp still. And then this is my other favorite one that I use a lot. It also has the black ball, which is super nice. So that you're just chopping straight down instead of, once again, using your wrist. There's a huge difference here. And this is actually not a meat cleaver. This, they used to call it, used to have a nice little tag here. It used to be a chop and scoop, I believe was the name. But this one's really, really nice as well. So it acts kind of like a bench scraper. But you guys can just see like the difference between chopping like this and chopping like this with your wrist. So anyway, I've fallen in love with the little black balls, and I hope they still make them. I'm going to look into it because I really need to have a backup set of knives, because after 20 years, I think we're ready for another one. Okay, so now we are done chopping. Let's take a look at the soup, or at least the starting of the soup. What's wrong?
The rug's supposed to be laying this way or the other way?
No, it's the other. No, it's that way. That's fine. Thank you. Okay, we're going to add in the homemade broth. We need 8 cups. I'm going to eyeball that because that's about a half a gallon. A little bit more. There we go. About a half gallon. All right, we're going to go ahead and add those fire roasted tomatoes, which is 28 ounces. Okay. All right, next we're going to add 1 teaspoon of parsley. And then we have 3 tablespoons of Italian seasoning, which is about what's in this jar. I'm going to go a little bit less because my tomatoes already have some of that seasoning in them, so I'm going to leave probably a tablespoon inside the jar. But if you don't have already seasoned fire roasted tomatoes, use 3 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. How you doing, Graceland?
Good.
Oh, good.
I went outside and had a scot.
Yeah, is it too cold? Is it too cold for that?
A little.
Yeah, it would seem like it would be.
Went out there and had a coat.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'm getting the next ingredient, which is some beans that I cooked up in my Instant Pot. And I'm going to bring that on over. So it was 2.5 cups of already soaked and fermented kidney beans and 2.5 cups of soaked and fermented white beans. I'm going to not splash everyone with this. Yes, honey?
So what are we having for dinner?
This is minestrone or minestrone soup. I've always called it minestrone, but that's probably wrong.
What is minestrone?
It's a Italian vegetable soup with beans in it. It's good. We had it last week and you guys really liked it. Don't worry.
What, you mean the soup with a whole bunch of the soup with the dark?
What?
With dark?
Dark? No.
No.
No. Okay, go on over there. You're being asked to go help. The kids are finishing up on cleaning the house. We had a really busy day. Of course, I went out and voted today, and then I had to run to town because we needed some things. So anyway, I didn't get back home until after lunchtime, so it's just kind of nuts. All right. So once again, that was 2.5 cups of soaked and fermented kidney beans and 2.5 cups of soaked and fermented white beans. Okay, I'm going to give this another stir. I'm going to turn this up to high. So basically we're going to add another couple ingredients, but this just needs to simmer / boil until those carrots and the celery are nice and soft, and then the soup is done. So let's add the last couple ingredients here. You can either use 3 tablespoons of tomato paste, or I'm going to use Azure Standard's tomato powder because it can just get directly added to this. The soaked and fermented beans, just in case you didn't catch it, were cooked inside an Instant Pot, okay? I just added broth just to get to the top of those beans and turned on the chili / soup function and walked away. All right. So everything's cooked except for those veggies that are in there. So I'm going to go ahead and take the dried tomato powder. Do I have a whisk that's clean? Oh, I do. Praise the Lord. All right, so I'm going to do half a tablespoon at a time. We're going to add 2 tablespoons. And this just helps get the broth to be more tomatoey than just being watery broth. And 1 more. Poor baby. Is she going to go down for a nap? Okay, give it a try. Okay, so there's the tomato powder. And then the very, very last ingredient is frozen zucchini, okay? 4 cups of zucchini. If you have fresh zucchini wherever you live, use that. I'm going to go run this under hot waters for a second to get it out of the bag. I was so happy to see a soup that has zucchini in it because I can use up all the zucchini that I didn't even grow zucchini this year, you guys. It's from last year's. So this is going to go on in as just one big huge cube. This is going to go on high. Once it comes to a boil, I'll reduce it down to a simmer. And we're just going to simmer it until all the veggies are cooked. And then we should add some salt to this. You can do salt to taste, but I'm going to do at least a tablespoon. I can probably take her in just a minute, Navia.
Why?
Because she's sad.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, half a tablespoon and 1 tablespoon. There we go. And that is healthy salt, not white table salt. We're looking for colored salt. Just in case you are new here, we select colored salt because the color that's in the salt here is the minerals that your body needs in order to utilize this salt without having issues, okay? You get lots of swelling issues, other issues inside your body because of salt, because it's white salt. It's an actual processed food. White salt is a processed food, just like white sugar and white flour. Okay, so that's it. Ta-da, that was fast, wasn't it? Easy dinner, easy dinner. And like I said, you could totally add meat to this if you want. If you don't want, that's okay too. We're going to try it without meat tonight. And if the kids end up wanting meat, I actually have Bethany right now. She's over there. Going through like 4 whole chickens worth of chicken because I used my roaster, which is right over there. Put 4 chickens in there, added some filtered water, a little apple cider vinegar to make the broth I was telling you guys about. And then when they're done, we take the chickens out and we take all of the meat off the bones. So that's what she's doing. So if we go to taste this soup and we think it needs something a little bit more, it's not filling us up, we'll either add some butter or add some meat because it has some that's already cooked up. But it's definitely a meal that you can get away with no meat if you have to. We, like I said, last week, was it last weekend? I think it was Friday last week. We had this soup with ground pork. So while you're sauteing up the onions, you just put the ground pork in there and saute away till it's cooked. All right, I'm checking comments. Okay, we're good. All right, cool. So that is that, you guys. It's just going to simmer until everything's cooked. It's such an easy meal. It was like literally, what, a 22-minute class, which means if you throw those beans into the Instant Pot before you leave for work, and you turn it on, it's going to keep them warm anyway after it's finished. And when you get home, you could totally throw this together in 20 minutes. Now it's just going to simmer. And if you just got home from work, you go take a shower or whatever you got to do, laundry and clean your house. This is a total doable meal, even if you work. I didn't start cooking or anything until I went live. So 22 minutes to make a yummy, nutrient-dense soup. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of butter because after I said that, it sounded really, really good. So I'm just going to slice a little bit. And the kids usually add some anyway. So I just threw in about 3 or 4 tablespoons there. So that's that. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else have any other questions while we're live and the baby's not crying anymore. So yeah, on Thanksgiving, once again, I'll say it again. If you guys have a vote, you'd rather see us make pies live, or you'd rather see us make main dishes live, or side dishes, let me know. Because we have so much to make. Like, we're going to make homemade stuffing this year. Oh, where's my list? I should just tell you guys what we're going to make. Let's see. Okay, so we're obviously making turkey. I'm going to be cooking up a 24-pound turkey. Insane, right? We're planning on lots of leftovers, which is good. And then we're going to make homemade green bean casserole from scratch. Okay, so that's going to be all the way from scratch. The only thing that's not from scratch is going to be the crunchy onions that are on the top. Because, well, green bean casserole isn't the same without the crunchy onions on top. And like I said, homemade stuffing, that's going to be utilizing sourdough bread. And that's a really easy process. It doesn't have to be intimidating. We're going to have sweet corn as a side, but that's because I canned a bunch up this summer. My mom is going to be making the mashed potatoes this year. And then we're going to be making either sourdough buns or sourdough English muffins. Something for the homemade cranberry sauce to go on. We're going to be making... There's still a fly living in here. It's unreal. It's already frozen. I don't know how many times outside. And then for desserts, we're going to be making an apple pie. We're going to be making a pecan pie that's healthy. No high fructose corn syrup in this pecan pie. And then with the pumpkin, I haven't decided whether we're going to make pumpkin bars or what's going to happen with that. And then we might be celebrating baby's birthday because it's only a week after Thanksgiving at the same time.
And.
Huh?
I said and.
And
And it's bringing a salad and a...
Oh, yes, and there's family bringing a green salad and all sorts of things. Nikki says, can canned beans be used since I don't... Yes, you can use... well, you could. You could do canned beans. You could. I don't know if you can them up yourself or not. But if you don't do any canning, you could use canned beans. The difference between a canned bean and an Instant Pot bean, which I just talked about, is that those beans have been soaked. And the reason why we do that is because if you soak it while it's still non-cooked, you are unlocking more nutrients for your family because there's two things in beans and seeds and rice of the earth, and that is phytic acid and enzyme inhibitors. And so, gosh, the flies. And so if you have those, come here. If you have those in your food, it's going to bind to other nutrients in your body and your family's body. So by soaking them, it fills your little kitties up faster, right? I'm tired. And it gets rid of the anti-nutrients that are in the food. So it's ready to go in and nourish your family. If you are in a pinch, you sure could use canned beans. Nobody really knows where the limit is on the consumption of phytic acid before it starts negatively affecting each person because it's different for everybody. So, like, things like having, bone density issues because it affects your calcium and your zinc levels and all these sort of things. So, totally up to you. If you can get dry beans and just soak them and then put them in a crock pot while you're at work or throughout the day, you can totally do that as well. You ready to go? You sad tonight? She's getting at least 2 of her upper teeth, you guys, so she is suffering. She's suffering. But anyway, so yes, you could, in a pinch, use the canned beans. Definitely want to see you make pecan pie. The pecan pie is my husband's absolute favorite. And so he requests it every year on his birthday. And like I said, I don't know if we're going to be celebrating his birthday and Naomi's birthday since we're going to have family in town, or what we're going to end up doing. I got to talk to the people who are coming to see if that's what they want to do. Right, Lavi? You're so tired, aren't you? Yes. Anyway, you guys, that is dinner. So it is going to be coming up to a boil here any minute. I'm going to reduce it down to medium and let it simmer till those vegetables are nice and soft. And then it's ready to eat. That's all there is to it, Lavi. You're so silly. You're gonna stir it? Okay, don't knock it over. Okay. And that's it, you guys. That's a wrap. Thanks for joining me. And like I said, if you have any opinions, comment down below, especially if you're watching the replay. If you agree with Sharon and you want to see pies made for Thanksgiving live, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week. Oh, you want to do milk?
Yeah.
Okay, do we have milk? We don't. Okay. No milk tonight. Sorry about that. we used a bunch of milk to make some recipes, and so we are running out. Okay, you guys, I'll see you guys next week. Keep an eye out for the live pre-scheduled event, and we'll see you then. You guys have a great night. Thanks for joining me. What?